Well, Studio 10, we are taking you back to 1930s Detroit because that is the setting and the backdrop of the new novel, Sins of Survivor. And we have two gentlemen here who are making sure that this story is being told and it's being brought to light. We've got Joe Mclean, the writer, and we have the presenter, Blair Underwood. How are you this afternoon?
Well,
fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for bringing this story right here to Lansing at the Black Bottom exhibit.
Yeah.
But this story takes place in the 1930s. You got to tell me a little bit as to why it is so important to be told today.
Wow.
I think there's a lot of correlation in what's happening in 1937 and what's happening now. Like in the automotive industry, they were dealing with automation in the factories, right? And we're looking at, and that was a job killer. And we're looking at that now with things like AI, right? Also in 37, they were coming out of a recession. They had recently had a pandemic. We've done all those things. And they were electing authoritarian figures politically all around the world. We're doing similar things now.
Joe, I love how you make those parallels. And now that we understand the setting that it takes place, talk to us about the journey that these two brothers go on in this story.
Well, thank you for saying that, because it is a story about Black Bottom, but more importantly, it's a story of two brothers. There you go, Ben Carter and Jasper Carter. It's a Carter Brothers novel, since you're holding it up like that.
Right here.
But it is a story about these two brothers who come from the deeper South, Alabama, and end up coming to Detroit and landing in Black Bottom and building a family empire in Black Bottom. So it deals with all those familial dynamics and the drama, and you know, we have politics and we have violence and betrayal and forbidden love, all the juicy things that you want, but it's set in this context of Black Bottom. So that's why we very much wanted to come to see this exhibit, the Street View, just to get a deeper sense, to feel it and, you know, taste it in a different way that the visuals help us do.
That's right. And you know, there's so much about Black Bottom that's similar to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
There's something similar about it that happened actually right here years ago in Lansing. So what's the biggest thing that you want people to walk away kind of understanding about this book after they've read it?
Just the legacy of this place, right? I don't want the entire thing to be all like just cramming history down people's throats, because we've got the juicy stuff that makes it a fun read. We're looking at this Street View exhibit right now. The fact that this doesn't exist, we had to come to a museum to look at pictures to see this vibrant, important community that politics wiped off the map. We want people to remember that. Just remember Black Bottom.
Now, I know you both have been here for just a little while now here in Lansing, and as you both have started walking through this exhibit, tell me about some of the things that were going through your mind as you were seeing these visuals. You were seeing these real photos brought to life. What was going through your mind?
Well, that's it, being brought to life. It's very much, when I see these images, I love to try to get inside of the image. And you know, we do these sensory exercises as actors, and it's really hit those five senses. I'll look at a picture and think about the smell at that time, the lighting at that time, the feel, the texture of the clothes, the wall, the people.
Those 1,000 words.
And more.
That's right.
That's right.
And more, and all those senses. Joe, for you, what was kind of going through your mind as you were walking through this?
You know, walking through and seeing these photos, I've seen some individual photos, certainly have done my research, but we hear so often that it was a slum that had to be torn down for urban renewal. I'm looking at these photos. These are magnificent, beautiful buildings. I'm walking the streets in this exhibit and I don't actually see the word slum. Right? That's a different definition in my brain. I'm actually shocked because it just doesn't look the way it was presented by people that told me about the place.
Right. And that's why it's so important who's got the pen when they're telling the story.
That's exactly
correct.
right.
And exactly the words, the language that we're using, and remembering that those words will stay with us for generations to come.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely. Well, you gotta both tell me, how did you two come together, especially as a presenter of this book? I know you both worked on a movie.
You know what that means when I say presenter?
No, tell us.
Yes, that's right.
What does that mean?
I asked people say, well, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
It means Joe wrote the book.
Okay.
That's what it means. He's the author.
Writing. Okay.
It means I have a connection with the book company, and I've been able to publish about 8 different books with them, in conjunction with them, and they've allowed me to have this unofficial imprint, which allows me to present authors who are brilliant at what they do. So I kind of connect the dots and then step out of the way.
So I heard that there's a part 2 of this book as well. Tell me if I'm wrong. Is there something else? Is there a sequel coming along?
There's something cooking. Yeah, we're going to follow the same family into 1943. So when you read this book and you find out where all the different family members end in their story, we're going to take a 6-year break, and you're going to be surprised where they start in the second book. I want to leave it at that, right?
Okay.
Read the book.
We'll leave it at that, but I can't leave without asking you both, is there any chance that this book will be coming to big screens or a big stage for either?
Oh, and stage, yes. Is there a chance? Yeah, there's a big chance.
There's a big chance. You got to make sure you call me then, okay? And then when you do, you got to make sure you come back to Studio 10 to tell us all about the sequel. But again, of course, you can purchase Sins of Survivors. Check your local Lansing bookstore. But gentlemen, thank you so much for really telling the story and bringing it to light.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having us here in Detroit.